Meet Mason. He's just arrived for work at the William Morris Centre.
Hello. Hi.
He's part of a new project run by the London Pathways Partnership, offering animal-assisted therapy as part of the trauma-informed service for forensic patients at Oxleas.
Mason's a therapy dog working for our psychology therapies department. So his role really is to be interacting with our service users and giving them a space to help them feel safe in kind of when they're starting to do psychological therapy work with us. He works with people primarily on a one-to-one. So in COVID, he can't be doing his usual groups or things like that. But really his role is to help people feel safe and to kind of, when he's working with people, to give them a sense of, I guess like we were saying, having a non-judgemental experience and a time for people to feel like they can be with someone who is just accepting them for who they are. I started bringing Mason here from when he was a small puppy to get him used to kind of the work environment and getting him used to meeting strangers, being in an office space. So a large part of what makes Mason Mason is his temperament. So for a therapy dog, what you're looking for is someone who is willing to accept fuss and strokes and interaction from whichever person is going to be coming through the door.
Once we got the permissions through the directorate for Mason to come into the building, he proved himself to be very safe, to be very approachable, to be very engaging, to be very lovable, and the rest has sort of all fallen into step. It's very hard not to be persuaded by the benefits of having Mason around once he does come into contact with you.
Knowing about kind of some of the research and the work that started to be done with, particularly with forensic populations, working with therapy animals, it was a dream at some point that I'd be able to kind of bring him into work. And it just so happens that with his temperament and kind of just how his personality has developed, that he seems to fit right in.
The typical referral we have here at the William Morris Centre is either an individual that's been referred through the probation service as part of London Pathways Partnership, so they have met the criteria for the offender personality disorder screening, or they've been referred by our Oxleas community health colleagues. So they'll be typically referred through that route from the CMHTs, sometimes from primary care. But what unites all of them that use the service is a difficulty with relationships. And that difficulty with relationships is quite often manifested in causing harm, either within those relationships or in other contexts. And for some patients, the idea of relationship with a human being that's reciprocal and rewarding is alien to them. And so to come into contact with Mason is a very different experience. It's a very sort of unconditional and accepting experience of relating to another living being, which for some patients who use our service is quite unique, unfortunately.
The type of person that would benefit is somebody who, for some reason, would struggle to engage in more typical structured psychological therapies from the word go. So there's something about him providing a bit of an easing in to kind of socialise people to coming to spaces to engage in, whether it's groups or one-to-one psychological therapy, as a bit of a way of providing a safer relational experience at the very beginning while somebody is building up their own self coming into the therapy space. And it's something about kind of, I guess, providing a slightly different focus. So I guess I'm thinking particularly for psychological therapists that kind of you're sitting face to face with somebody, it can often feel very intense, sometimes can feel quite pressurised, whereas having a dog as kind of a focal point, it can help deflect some of that intensity, and it can help give kind of a mutual something to be talking about and starting to build rapport, starting to build a relationship, which is exactly what his role is about here.
I think there's an appetite for more imaginative interventions that didn't exist perhaps pre-COVID. And I think being able to get through those hurdles that allows Mason to come in and be part of the team has been an important example of that.
Service users so far, I know it's early days, but they have responded so positively to him. I had a service user talking to me a few weeks ago about kind of the acceptingness of dogs and the non-judgmentalness, and he was kind of saying to me, Rebecca, like I could be homeless on the street, or I could be a CEO of a huge company, but Mason would greet me, he would interact with me, he would be playful, he would be all of those things, no matter who I am. He's not looking at my history, he's not looking at what's happened in the past, he's not looking at my experiences before. All he cares about is whether I'm going to be throwing the ball for him in the here and now. And actually there's something really powerful about that. The staff as well, I think he's got a lot of number one fans in the staff here. I often get messages from my colleagues saying, "Hi Rebecca, when's Mason coming into work next?" And I remind them that I'm going to be here as well. But they absolutely love him, and he's been a real addition to the team.